Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, we're going to look at the studio discography of North Carolina's own Between the Buried and Me, a very cool band that is now this year celebrating 20 years together. Right, man, that was a fast 20 years, right? For those of you who have not listened to Between the Buried and Me, they are an excellent, formidable progressive metal act that also touches on quite a bit of extreme metal. So throughout their history, they've kind of blended complex progressive metal with hardcore and death metal. Okay, they've gone from a completely brutal early first couple of albums, all right, to a much more refined sound today that, like I said, is firmly rooted in progressive metal, although they do introduce growls into their growling vocals into their music, as well as all sorts of different kind of musical elements. So a very, very cool band that honestly has never released a bad album at all. So kind of ranking these was a little difficult for me because they're all really good. Some of them are quite different from others, but they're all exceptional. And what I really love about this band, this is a really good story here for a young band, well, not that young anymore, but is that every album of theirs has progressed and gotten, and their music has just gotten better. So yeah, with a couple little exceptions, my ranking kind of almost falls in line with their release trajectory. All right, with a couple tweaks here and there, because they've got a couple real standouts in their catalog. But like I said, I'm going to go for my least favorite, and that's putting it real loose. All right, I wouldn't say I don't dislike any of these by any means. I would say I'm going to kind of I'm going to rank them in the order that I like to listen to them. All right, from the ones I listen to the least to the ones I listen to the most, and that obviously those are the ones that I like better. But the ones towards the bottom of my list, not bad at all, all right, as we're going to get to. So I'm going to start off first at the bottom of my list, but a kick-ass album is their self-titled debut. I mean, this is a brutal album, all right? What do we got here? About 10 tracks or so, 10, 11 songs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs, not even. So this is the death metal and the brutal hardcore elements very prevalent on this album. They hadn't yet started doing a lot of the kind of tricky time signatures and progressive elements, jazzy elements, all that kind of stuff, although there are a little bit of them on here. That really wouldn't start to come into play heavily until their next album. But here you got some killer songs. What Have We Become? Fire for a Dry Mouth, right? Chevenel Cut a Flip. I mean, More of Myself to Kill. Brutal album. The riffs are absolutely gargantuan. The vocals don't let up at all on here. I mean, this is just like, one guttural growl after another. So, for me, I probably listen to this the least because it's just absolutely so unrelenting. I have to be really in the mood for it. But it's still a kick-ass album, a very strong debut, and I like it a lot. Coming in next, their next release, all right, The Silent Circus. Another really strong album. All right, kick ass, but the little bits of prog are finally starting to really rear their heads. Some little kind of tranquil interludes and things, a little more guitar solos, stuff like that. You've got Camilla Rhodes is very good. Mordecai, excellent song. All right, what else? Aesthetic, that's the tune I was looking for. That is a killer song, so complex, so heavy. The acrobatic drumming, the sledgehammer riffing and blazing kind of shredding guitar solos, right? A very, very good album that, again, seeing the band really mature from album to album, and they would really, I think, hit their stride for the first time and really start to get noticed by, other than just simply the extreme metal world on their next album, Alaska. This is probably their first, real winner of an album. Not that those aren't, but this is the album, I think, where a lot of the pieces finally, kind of fell into place. A lot of their, most well-known favorite songs come from this album, such as the title track, all right, such as Selkies, The Endless Obsession, all right, Play It Live quite a bit, The Primer, Autodidact, Backwards Marathon, Robo Turner. A great mix of the kind of, the extreme metal, bordering on death metal, bits of hardcore, with, breathtaking extreme metal brilliance. I mean, obviously a little bit of a Dream Theater influence here at times. the cascades of complex, heavy riffing. All right, the synths, the keyboards. All right, the blazing lead guitar work. I mean, Jesus. Just fantastic stuff. Here you're starting to see the melodic vocals coming in alongside the growls. So this is their breakthrough for a reason. It's a stunning album, okay? But they would get even better. That's the crazy thing. All right, next up. So there's going to be two instances here where there's going to be two separate releases. I'm going to put them together because what Between the Buried and Me have done a couple times in more recent years is they've released like these kind of like almost like EP releases that are concept albums, but instead of putting out like one long concept album, like maybe a double album, what they've done is they've released two separate single EPs like in the span of a couple months from each other, all right, as like kind of like a part one or part two. So we've got here the Parallax, Hypersleep, Dialogues, all right, and the Parallax 2 Future Sequence. These are meant to be, it's kind of like one long story. So what I put them together. I like to listen to them together. I'm going to rank them together, all right? These are dynamite, and they've done more of this type of stuff. So it's basically like almost everything they've done since Alaska has been basically like concept album stuff. Very complex lyrical storylines. The music is just as complex. So these are both stunning. The part two obviously is the longer of the two. That kind of would stand on its own, but I hated to have this out on its own when basically they're a package deal for me anyway. You may feel differently, and that's totally okay. But I put these two together because it's one big long story. For me, they should have just put out a double album. I think that would have been totally fine. Killer, a lot of tracks, amazing stuff. However, I think some of the other ones are even better, all right? So that's going to come in next. All right, next up, we're going to go with, what do I got here? Yeah, we're going to do the same thing again. So we got the Automaton 1 and Automaton 2. These are fairly recent, okay? Basically two EPs. You got 4 tracks on one, and it actually starts on the first one. You have track 1 through 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and 10 on here. And they were released a little bit apart. So, but they go hand in hand, and it makes up one amazing concept record. Okay, I'm not sure why they did it this way for both of these. I don't know, but man, some breathtaking stuff on here. Very, very artsy progressive metal, but with a healthy dose of brutality. Coming from their extreme metal background, right? Quite good. And here, again, with these more later releases, you're starting to see a lot of Tommy's really great. Is that his name? God, forgetting the names of the guys here. Hold on, I probably should do that, right? Let's see. Where do we got? Of course, everything is microscopic. All right, I'll find that soon enough. But anyway, we got the keyboard player. All right, I forget his name. He is a dynamite melodic singer, and he does the growls great. So on these later releases, you got probably more clean singing than growls, but they throw the growls in at the right times. It's really, really excellent. All right, next up, we're going to come in number 3. I'm going to go with Comacliptic. All right, another very cool concept album from the band. This is a very unique album in that it started to introduce different elements to the band's sound, which it's kind of hard to explain. Like almost like theatrical carnival type stuff. Really, really different elements to their sound, right? And musically, this particular release is kind of all over the place, but it really works. It's not an easy listen like right off the bat. It's like you're not going to like put on Comacliptic and like on the first listen go, I got it. Very cool. You're going to be like, wow, I like that part. I love that part. That's really different. That's kind of weird. Wow, that's heavy. Ooh, that's very cool and proggy. Listen to that guitar solo. It bounces all over the place. And the storyline is pretty bizarre, all right? And he does lots of different kind of styles and playing a lot of different parts, obviously, for the storyline with his vocals. So from song to song, it really changes quite a bit. And it's just a dynamite album. Probably way ahead of its time almost, but it comes in at number 3 for me. All right, coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with The Great Misdirect. Another fantastic concept album from the band. All right, a lot of great songs, heavy, and proggy. just all of these albums. And again, these albums this is not background music by any means. All right. Not at all. This is stuff that you really have to kind of really soak in and give it time, right? All right, I'm going to list the guys in the band. Dan Briggs on bass, Dusty Waring on electric guitar, all sorts of guitars, fantastic. Tommy Rogers, okay, that's who I was thinking of, the keyboard player and the singer, all right. Paul Wagner on guitar, and Blake Richardson on drums. So a dynamite group, and this is a dynamite album. Again, another concept album, The Great Misdirect. A lot of just fantastic, it's one of those albums, a lot of these concept albums you kind of have to take as a whole. I mean, yeah, some tracks kind of stick out on their own, but a lot of these I listen to, from start to finish, and you take them in as a whole piece, a whole lengthy piece, and that's kind of how they were put together. So, number one for me is just, I think, one of the most important concept albums in the kind of progressive metal genre that we've seen over the last kind of decade and a half. I'm talking about Colors. This is just frighteningly good. Absolute perfection. Man, I don't even know where to begin. Yeah, there's parts to this, and it picks up steam. And I've seen them play this live in its entirety, and it's just mind-blowing. But just some of the melodies, some of the riffs, the guitar work is off the charts and so memorable. There's tons of shredding going on here, acrobatic stuff. If you like really heavy progressive music that's really complex and intricate, you got all sorts of wackiness going on here. The vocals going from the soaring melodic stuff to the just bone crunching heavy growls. But more importantly, it's just all the tracks are so memorable to make up this whole storyline here. It's just so memorable. And it flows really well. I mean, if you're a fan of some of the heavier, concept albums of progressive metal that have been released in the last 20 years or so, I'm thinking like, Dream Theater's Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory. Man, this ranks up there pretty high alongside that stuff. Some of the stuff from Van den Plas and, all these other bands. But, man, this is great. Yeah, when this came out, I listened to this all the time. And I still, when I hear anything from it today, I'm kind of like, oh, man, brings back some great memories, right? Very, very enjoyable, and highly recommend. Like I said, I had the pleasure of seeing them do this in its entirety live, and it was just like absolutely mind-blowing. So there you have it. Between the Buried and Me, not a long catalog, for a band that's been around for 20 years. Very manageable, but man, some great stuff. Like I said, if you don't like the growling vocals, yeah, they may not be for you, but if you don't mind them, and if you I would say give some of their more recent ones a chance, because they mix it a lot of clean vocals too, right? Some of the early ones might be a little bit too brutal for you, but the music is absolutely breathtaking, I'm telling you. So coming in at number one, we're going to go with Colors. Number two, we're going to go with The Great Misdirect. Number three, I'm going to go with Comacliptic. Number four, we got Automaton 1 and 2. I'm doing them together here. All right. Coming in at number five, the Parallax albums. I'm doing them together here. All right. You can do them differently if you like. Coming in at number six, Alaska. Coming in at number seven, the Silent Circus. And coming in at number eight, the self-titled debut. Again, not a bad release in any of them. So I'm sure we're going to have folks that are going to think their first two or the first three are the greatest stuff they've ever done. And I can't say I fault you on that, because, man, all their albums are great. They started off so heavy and so brutal, and they've kind of really matured and become like a kind of a different beast, but still with all that power and conviction. But a fantastic band. If you love progressive metal and you don't mind the extreme nature of what these guys bring to the table, you'll love this. All right, give them a try. Give Colors a try. If nothing else, go out on YouTube here and listen to Colors all the way through. Or if you want to hear some kind of like zany stuff, listen to Comacliptic. All right, that's got like all sorts of weirdness going on, but it's excellent, very, very cool. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. What else is coming up this weekend? If I can squeeze it in today, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. I got Nevermore, ranking the studio albums of Nevermore, another very cool kind of thrashy power progressive metal band from here in the U.S. They're no more. Nevermore is no more, but a great short discography they've released. I'm going to cover those albums tomorrow. Should hope to squeeze in AC/DC as well. So all that's coming up this weekend, guys. So don't miss out. I also want to squeeze in a listening room. maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Monday. But that'll be in the next couple of days. All right? So take care, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.